Chapter 6: The Fall of the Wall and the Rise of Infiltration. The whispers were becoming more historical, referencing events Alex hadn't personally experienced, things he'd only read about in history books. They spoke of the Cold War, the Berlin Wall, the Iron Curtain. "Remember the fear, Alex," they'd hiss. "The constant threat of nuclear annihilation. We brought you that fear." He realized the whispers weren't just about his personal life, they were about manipulating his understanding of the world, shaping his perception of history. They were trying to convince him that the ATG had always been there, lurking in the shadows, pulling the strings of global events. Alex's research led him to the fall of the Berlin Wall, a pivotal moment in history, a symbol of freedom and the triumph of democracy. But through the lens of the TI experience, the event took on a different hue. He began to suspect that the fall of the wall wasn't just a spontaneous uprising of the people, but a carefully orchestrated event, a strategic move by the ATG to expand their influence. He discovered that the ATG had been preparing for the fall of the wall for years, infiltrating Eastern Bloc countries, planting their agents in key positions of power. They saw the collapse of communism as an opportunity, a chance to spread their tentacles into new territories, to control new populations. The fall of the wall, Alex realized, wasn't just about liberating people from oppression. It was about opening up new markets for the ATG's mind control technology. They saw the newly liberated countries as fertile ground for their experiments, a blank slate where they could test their methods, refine their techniques. He found whispers of the ATG's involvement in the political upheavals that followed the fall of the wall, the rise of nationalist movements, the ethnic conflicts that tore apart entire regions. He began to suspect that the ATG was behind these conflicts, fueling the flames of hatred and division, all in the pursuit of their own agenda. They used the chaos and instability to infiltrate governments, to install puppet leaders, to establish their control over the media and the flow of information. They used their mind control technology to manipulate public opinion, to sway elections, to silence dissent. Alex started to see the connections between the fall of the wall and the rise of targeted individuals. He suspected that the ATG had used the newly liberated countries as testing grounds for their mind control technology, experimenting on unsuspecting populations, refining their techniques, perfecting their methods. He discovered that many TIs reported experiencing the onset of their symptoms in the years following the fall of the wall, a sudden increase in the number of people reporting hearing voices, feeling watched, being manipulated. He began to suspect that this wasn't just a coincidence, that there was a direct link between the fall of the wall and the rise of targeted individuals. The fall of the wall, Alex realized, wasn't just a historical event. It was a turning point in the war for minds. It was the moment when the ATG emerged from the shadows, when they began to exert their influence on a global scale. He began to investigate the ATG's activities in Eastern Europe, tracing their connections to political figures, businessmen, and intelligence agents. He discovered that they had established a network of front companies, shell corporations, and offshore accounts, all designed to conceal their operations and hide their profits. He started to suspect that the ATG wasn't just interested in controlling minds. They were also interested in controlling resources, in manipulating the global economy, in establishing their dominance over the world. As he sat in his darkened apartment, the hum vibrating through his body, the whispers taunting him with historical details, Alex knew that he was unraveling a vast and complex conspiracy, a conspiracy that stretched back decades, a conspiracy that threatened the very foundations of democracy and freedom. And he was determined to expose it, no matter the cost.